This is the Doctor continuing the Star Traders playthrough with the Bounty Hunter. In the last video, we did our very first ship combat and we won fairly comfortably. I was pretty confident when I saw that independent spy had a pretty bad ship. And we had a whole bunch of defensive talents and it was more than enough for us to get the win there. There were a couple other aspects of ship combat, like the weapon selection and so forth, that I didn't really explain. I think I went through the basics, but as I start to upgrade my ship, I'll explain more about why I'm going to set it up the way it is. But in general, defense is really important. In fact, it is the most important aspect. And then you want either some offensive capability or you want to have a super dedicated boarding strategy. My strategy will be to use some weapons like torpedoes at range and then finish the enemy off by boarding. Anyway, we're in this quadrant here, Hyperion Abyss, trying to do a couple quests, and we're going to spend some time upgrading the ship in between doing the quests. As soon as our talent to reduce the price of upgrade come up, I'm going to keep using that talent. Let's see, what are our options here? We could face a smuggler. We could probably be a smuggler at this point. That can be worth doing. Patrolling here could be quite a good result, but I do not want to risk anything while my pilots have their cooldowns still. Let's see, yeah. Evasive maneuvers, 2 weeks, 5 days. I can't risk any sort of battle until the cooldowns are back. Alright, I can upgrade, right? Yes, assistant installation. So what should I upgrade next? I could actually replace the hyperdrive. But the combat hyper warp takes 9 weeks to upgrade. And it's definitely an improvement. You get a little more piloting and a lot more shielding and armor, but 9 weeks is a long time. I don't know if I need to be spending 9 weeks doing that. I feel like one of the best things to upgrade next is a weapon. Then maybe a med bay. Let's see, we can get the highest tier torpedo. That's not bad, getting one of those. Level 7 torpedo. Alright, so the way these weapons work, I think I explained the ranges. This torpedo is the best at range of 5, and it has the ability to fire from a range of 4 as well. And weapons have two types of damage. They have this base damage. This particular torpedo dual-laced array does 36 to 90 base damage. Then it does something known as void damage. In fact, I'm pretty sure every weapon type has 2 damage. Base damage, and this secondary damage is either void or radiation. Oh, some weapons I guess don't have the secondary damage, but most weapons do have a secondary damage type. So at a high level, the way it works is that when you hit an enemy, it rolls a damage amount. Then it gets reduced by the amount of shielding and armor that the enemy ship has. So if they have, for instance, 50% shielding, a damage to a crew member or an internal component is further reduced. I think it's just reduced by 50%. But void damage and radiation damage is special. They don't do as much damage to the hull, but they do extra damage to the crew and to internal components. So they're really good at crippling the enemy ship. I'm pretty sure void damage is like 150% to crew and the components, and radiation is 200%. So radiation is really good for crippling enemy ships. Even though it says like 10 to 30 damage, effectively when it comes to wrecking the enemy's hull for this missile pod, this radiation damage is pretty much better because it's double as opposed to 1.5. Maybe they're very comparable for just this missile. Not that I'm going for the missiles. So in my strategy of disabling the enemy ship without blowing them up, I want lots of void and radiation damage. I don't really care about the base damage too much. I mean, it still helps, of course. But the other big reason to just get the highest tier weapon is extra electronics and a little more ship ops. That doesn't hurt either, but the 3 electronics, that actually buffs our defense. And I want to stack as much defense as possible. I want to be careful though. I can definitely purchase one of these without going over my dice, but I can't buy, I think, a second one just yet because my crew won't be good enough to operate them. I'm already kind of things are looking a little sketchy here in terms of the gunnery and electronics. I'll probably get rid of this Starshot lance. I'll free up some extra gunnery. But I especially want to make sure my electronics does not fall below 100%. So that's my strategy with the ship combat. I'll be using the abilities of the torpedoes and the missiles to fire from range to cripple the enemy ship. A couple other things to note about these weapons. So they have a crit chance, 8%. Crit is really, really good. It doesn't just increase your damage, it makes it so that when you hit the enemy's internal crew and components, it does extra damage to extra crew and extra components. So the multiplier effect is not just like doubling. For hull damage, I think it's something like double, but when it comes to hitting the internal components, crits do a lot more. I don't know the exact numbers, but suffice to say, crits are really good at crippling enemy ships. In addition, you can score these crippling effects. So this torpedo, for instance, has a 50% chance to apply what's known as a crippling effect to the enemy ship. It's basically a debuff. And we can see here, the 2 that these torpedoes can apply are electrical fire and void contortions. And as the help text says, if both crippling effects are already present on the enemy ship, you can apply this prime crippling effect. It's a really, really good debuff. And different weapons have different crippling effects. For instance, the missile array does have electrical fire, but they have something else known as secondary explosion and then crude stun. Wow, that minus 20% accuracy and minus 20% defense, that looks pretty good to me. But yeah, so you can, as long as you hit, you have this chance of applying the crippling effect. You'll notice these missiles are really good at critting, but they're not so great at the crippling effects. Whereas the torpedoes are not so great at critting, but they're really good at applying crippling effects. And once those effects start to stack up, it'll really wreck the enemy's ship. They'll have to waste time using talents to purge them. So they can't be like buffing their accuracy or defense. And you can just hit them again and apply more of these effects to really knock out your ships. So those are the main stats to look out for when it comes to weapons. There are a wide variety of ship-based combat strategies. Perhaps the most common, the most safe, is to sit at range 5, pummel the enemy with torpedoes. But you can get closer and use more damaging weapons. Generally speaking, the weapons that are closer, if I just pick another one here, generally the closer weapons like the Starshot lance, look at how much more damage they do, a considerable amount. These rail guns also, look at the amount of void damage they do. You get a hit off on these, it really wrecks their ship. These are just small components. The medium components have, I think, even more weapon types, including this grav cannon with a truly absurd amount of damage that they can do, but these can only be fired from ranges 3, 2, or 1. Yeah, the railguns I especially like. These plasma artillery, oh, these are also fantastic. If you hit one of these, it wrecks their ship with the radiation, and base damage is so high. Plasma cannons, very, very dangerous. And these all have very nice crit. The torpedoes have very poor crit, as you can see. Anyway, I think that's enough talk about how these weapons work. I see no reason to change my general strategy with this vessel, my ship Sardine. If I get a better ship, I'll probably change my strategy. But for now, let's keep doing this quest. Alright, adept mediation, reduced reputation loss. Beautiful. So I only lost 1 rep. That's great. Thank you, my diplomat. And now, seems like a good time to pay my crew. Probably level up a whole bunch. Nice. More bounty hunting. More doctoring. Alright, now that I have rank 5 engineer, I don't need too many more ranks there just yet. Let's up military officer. There's a really nice perk at military officer rank of, I think, rank 5. Ah, my scavenger leveled up. Redemption purge. Purges ship of crippling effect. Repairs 10%. Yeah. Repair skill in damage to 2 to 4 ship components. That's pretty nice. Actually, really nice. And my soldier. What do I want for soldier? Ferocious crossfire is nice if I bring you to board in the first round. But I'm a little worried you don't actually have enough firepower. I don't like ferocity. It debuffs your dodge, which is bad, even though it lets you do so much more damage. Covering fire. This makes me retreat 1 slot. I don't really want to retreat. Discipline is always good. It's a very quick buff. Low back. I think this is probably the perk to get. Though Ferocious Crossfire is also very, very strong. It's a boarding talent, so after I win a boarding battle, I can inflict a significant amount of damage to enemy crew, which always helps. And if I'm boarding against enemy crew, I probably don't need, like, my characters are very strong right now. I'm gonna pick this up because I'm gonna use you probably in the first wave. My soldier in the first wave of attacking enemy ship. Redemption Purge looks very solid. There was also a recent update to the game in between this video and the last video, and some new talents were added. This one, when refueling your ship, scouring the starport for better deals grant a 15% plus explore skill discount at 5 explore. So it's a 20% discount on refueling. But fuel doesn't really cost that much. On average, it costs like 15. Sometimes it costs maybe like 30 if it's really bad. And refueling, as you can, I mean, this starport is very cheap, but let's say I needed to refuel 100 at 30. That's 3,000. 3,000, 20% discount. That's like $600, and it procs only once every 12 weeks. That's pretty silly. This talent doesn't save nearly enough money. I like Redemption Purge. This seems very promising. Patchwork is also good. I might need this. I don't think I'm going to take talents on my scavenger just yet. Need a bit of time to think about what to do there. Alright, I think I need to go back to my starting sector, right? But this is a good time to do some patrols. This is a refinery world. Oh, we can sell some cargo. This uranium, sure. Let me check something. 722. If I were to sell this, this is advance a turn. It wasn't even worth the 1 turn it took to sell. Oh, alliance conflict has ended. Steel Song emerged stronger than the Voltos. Hopefully the trade ban will be over soon. That is really nice. That means I think both factions benefit from alliance, but we should benefit more. Look at the influence on our characters, like 70, 70, 73, that 80, that is just fantastic. I can like buy their gear and get their introductions and recruits at the highest possible level. That is super nice. All right, I don't think I need to do much at the planet. Do I need to heal? I better heal. Took a little bit of damage. I don't think I need the repairs. Well, might as well. It only takes 2 days. That's not very much. Oh, I have my assistant installation back. Okay, good. I do want to make another upgrade. What next? I don't really need this Starshot Lance. It's not doing much for us because we're never really going to use this weapon. I want to get a medical bay for the extra electronics. It's a bit of defense. It's pretty cheap. And I can't quite use it just yet, but it won't be long before we can pick up some talents to take advantage of the medical bay. And I just don't need the other weapon. That also frees up enough gunnery for us to buy another one of these super fancy torpedoes. Alright. But we'll need a bit of time, of course. Alright, let's go back. What sort of... I want to do some patrolling. My talent should be back. Pretty sure. Evasive maneuvers, yep. So if I run into that smuggler, I can fight it. Yay! So not only do I gain the 4 rep right off the bat, I did lose 1 with this clan Alta Mesa, which I don't want to piss them off too much. But I'll fight this smuggler. They have a Scout Cutter, a very terrible ship. They have 14 cargo. I don't want to piss this faction off a little bit, but doing 1 battle is okay. I just have to make sure to not actually like blow the ship up afterwards. So yeah, let's jump into this fight. We gain some more experience. Smuggler, this Scout Cutter is a very small ship, not very dangerous. We might get hit once or twice. Not a big deal. Now, one thing to note is that they appear very hostile and they are preparing to retreat. So they are going to run from us. Let's make sure they don't run. Normally, I start with a defensive buff, but in this case, I think there's an extremely good chance that this ship is going to try to run. So I'm going to apply targeting lock here to try to make them, this talent reduces their escape chance. Oh, interesting. They actually wanted to fight. Alright, they only have... Oh, and they try to escape as well. Okay, so we did get hit once. Our Ares missile system took 7% damage. That's not very much. Their rolls are terrible when it comes to escaping. So, if you hover over your ship, the game will explain to you how many dice you have available for each of the possible actions. And it does explain to you where these dice are coming from. So, for instance, our accuracy is based in part on the ship's speed, along with our gunnery pool and our tactics pool. So we have plenty of accuracy, and apparently navigation as well, because I think we're at range 5. The defense, this is the most critical one, is based on speed, and that 28... Oh! Whoops! That I accidentally hit the enter sign without doing anything. That was just a misclick. Alright, that was silly. We took damage unnecessarily. That was actually really, really bad. I can't believe I did that when trying to explain the game, but I will move my mouse away from the keyboard. Enter and turn. I didn't know that. Okay, so anyway, the dice comes from your electronic skill. And they are close to knocking out our defense pattern matrix. Like, if I had applied evasive maneuvers, I doubt I'd get hit again. What sort of damage happened to my crew? Not so bad. Not so bad. Okay, we're okay. What kind of weapons are they even firing? Hellfire torpedo, firestorm torpedoes. I don't think those are too bad. These numbers represent how many rows actually passed out of your total dice pools. In general, if the numbers are very close together, what that means is like 40 versus 44, it means that you have a reasonable chance to either, it's a very close dice roll. You want to influence it with either a buff or a debuff on the enemy. In this case, they're firing their Firestorm torpedoes, and now we're rolling pretty unluckily here on the first roll, only 30, and the second defense was 42. But if I apply an evasive maneuver, the 25% buff to all my defenses should shoot these numbers up into the 50s and the high 40s and the low 50s, and we should be able to dodge them. Plus, as we actually inflict damage on the enemy ship, we should be able to do even more damage to knock out their components, and they won't be able to attack us very effectively. And we'll be applying debuffs and so forth. Alright. So their torpedoes are wrecked now. They can't even attack us. If I had used that talent the last turn, we don't even take this extra damage unnecessarily. So yeah, they're firing their torpedoes, but they're rolling 37 versus 47, 36 versus 44. At this type of margin, I feel pretty confident that they can't really hit us anymore. So that's what I look for in the combat log. How close together are the dice rolls? If they're very close like this, you need to influence it. If they're far apart, I don't really need more defensive buffs. Plus, I knocked out their torpedoes, so they can't fire them anyway. But now I want to advance on them to make sure they don't run. I'll use this perfected approach talent. So this is why like the combat log is the only thing that really like matters. Look, you need to look at this to see what happened in a round, to see how close the dice rolls are, and whether you need a buff or not. Oh, maybe they have 3 torpedoes and I knocked out only 2 of them. Alright, what did I do now? Oh, they have Imperator PC-1. That's like a plasma cannon. But their weapons are all getting wrecked. Like, let's just, from this range, I better fire the missiles. I shouldn't kill them. They have plenty of hull. What else should I do? I need anything else? Skull Cutter, 35 versus 50. We knocked out so many of their weapons, but I have plenty of defensive buffs. I'm going to apply one more just to be absolutely safe. Ooh, they have a railgun. Alright, what did I do to them? They must have extra weapons, backup weapons or something, or maybe they repaired some of their weapons. It doesn't matter. We're closing, and their rows are terrible against us. Light railgun, 26 versus 54, like they're not even close to hitting us. I have absolutely no worries. Now, let's begin the real fun. I am going to board their ship. Normally, to board an enemy ship, you need to be at range 1. So you have to close range 5 times and then do another action to board them. If you have a special ability, talent, like Boarding Assault or Blood Game, you can board at a closer range. For instance, Boarding Assault works from ranges 3 or 2. So now, I'm already at range 3. This is why Boarding Assault is such a nice talent for boarding-based strategy. I'm just going to go ahead and try to board them. You have to roll a dice to see whether you succeed or not. I obviously succeed. Their ship should be so badly crippled that I am going to just send out my engineer as well, who's not really good at fighting, but he'll do. Okay, so ship combat we covered. Crew combat. If you've ever played Darkest Dungeon, it is in some ways similar to that. You have 4 characters, and there are 4 positions, and there are a variety of attacks you can use from depending on your position and the weapons you have equipped. I am sending out my captain, the bounty hunter. He's going to be the primary damage dealer, along with my doctor and a combat medic, who both have healing talents, and my military officer. This is not a great comp against any sort of tough enemies. There's not enough damage. Captain's the only one who can really do any sort of damage. But against a ship that's already been crippled by salvo after salvo of torpedoes and their crew is half dead, really, there's no problem. Like, I can send this crew and it'll be very, I'll have no problem killing them. As you can see, one of their crew members already like close to death. So, crew combat. It's somewhat similar to Darkest Dungeon. You'll have your talents that you can use along with a base attack. And you have initiative. And the way each combat round works is that abilities will use up your initiative. It's the number next to the arrow symbol here. So each talent or attack will use some initiative. If I use this basic attack, it's 11 initiative. And this steadfast aim, which is just like a better version of the basic attack, uses 11 initiative as well. The difference here, of course, is the standard attack can hit rank 1, but the steadfast aim cannot. However, it can hit rank 4, so there's some flexibility here. And this is why initiative is so important. If your initiative is low, like imagine if my initiative is 11, then I can only use one rifle attack. But because my initiative is 19, when I use my first attack, not only do I go ahead of them, but I get extra 8 initiative to play with for the rest of the round. Now, they took their turns and they attacked us. Their crew actually has pretty good initiative, surprisingly good initiative. And if you hit the log here, you can see what sort of rows are happening here. So when I, as the captain, attacked with my LMG, I rolled 17 strong dice plus 12 standard dice, and there was a multiplier. Not actually quite sure where that multiplier comes from. And I succeeded with a score of 10 versus their defense score of 4. So I succeeded very, very comfortably against them. Here, you mostly want to see again, are the numbers very close or not? So this guy hit me with a pistol. My defense is terrible, only 2 strong dice. And his attack is really, really good. But unfortunately for him, my armor is so great that he did very little damage. This one is a little more concerning. He's got a Razor LMG, and he hit me for 46 damage because my armor isn't very good, and he has good piercing, 78% to deflect. Let's see. Yeah, and then the physical damage. Why did he get... Oh, he got a multiplier because of his buff. I was like, why did he do so much damage? I don't think he actually penetrated my armor. But he has this buff called Ferocity, which increases his damage by 30%. That's where all that damage is coming from. It is making him easier to hit, though. And his other crew members don't have that buff. Still, I'm a little worried about my health. Better heal myself using this Cleansing Purge ability. Alright, that other soldier attacked me, but he got very unlucky and I defended pretty easily there. Alright, my engineer can now move. Please hit. Beautiful. In crew combat, it is similar to ship combat in the sense that it has a snowballing effect. As soon as you start killing one or more of the enemy crew, their effective number of actions decrease by 25%. And you you still have all your actions, so you'll be fine. I'll keep making sure to heal. Ow. That is okay. Let's see if I can't kill this. No, the soldier is the most dangerous. This guy used a buff that really increases defenses, but he's not doing more damage. I don't really care about him. Good, I killed that soldier so he can't move again. Let's heal. This is their combat crew. The combat crew tends to be the actual enemies that are even capable of fighting back. After I get through this, like, they're not gonna have much else they can use to fight me. Raining Steel, that does extra damage, but That is okay. I'm just gonna keep healing, even if they hit us a few extra times. Not a big deal. So Cleansing Purge costs 10 initiative. I actually made a slight mistake in the last video. Let's say I use a Cleansing Purge. My turn's over because I only have 10 initiative. But if I use the Bio-Poison Slugs first, I'll have 3 initiative left to play with. So if I get a free attack, there's basically no reason not to do it. Sometimes you want to drag these fights out so you can heal, but this guy's got all these buffs, and he's very likely to hit and do more damage. And so I'm just going to try to kill him. Both of my doctor and my engineer gets to go next, but my engineer is not a good combatant. It's very likely he could miss. The captain, though, has no problems. Alright, when you win a crew combat, we launch this devastating assault and we are victorious. Because I won, I get to do things to their ship and sabotage them. For instance, I could damage a component. The component that appears is, I think, random to some extent. I think there are talents that can influence what you can sabotage. There's no reason for me not to do it. And then I can also apply this debuff to panic the enemy's crew. There are talents such that when you succeed in boarding, you can do other actions, even more devastating actions. But just this one, like reducing their accuracy and doing morale damage, is already pretty good. But there are much more devastating abilities. I just don't happen to have any of them. In order to apply these talents, you either have to board from range 1, and then you can use any of your crew's talent pool. But if you're using something like boarding assault to board from range 3, that boarding talent has to be present on one of your crew that you actually sent out to board. And my 4 characters I sent out do not have any sort of talents. You can also only take 2 actions. Sometimes if you have a lot of talents, you can see like 5 or 6 or even more options, but you can only do 2 every single boarding attempt. So now we've applied a crippling debuff to their ship. They are in trouble now, but we haven't won yet. Let's keep boarding them. I'll use my bounty hunter's talent, Blood Game. It has a very similar effect, and I'll keep boarding them. My weapons can't be used anymore, but what does it matter? Their ship is already crippled. I'm just going to repeatedly board them. Oh, they're trying to retreat, and they're actually successful in running. But as I start to do damage to their crew, their ship will become combat ineffective, and we should not have problems winning. Alright, let's try to kill. The more we take out, the better. These enemy crew, now we're seeing the classes they have. This is a gunner, crew dog, and electronic tech. These aren't their combat crew anymore. So these characters are going to be really bad at combat. Even if they hit us, like, first of all, I don't really think they can hit us. Even if they hit us, they'll be doing such little damage that they're basically irrelevant. This is, in fact, a great opportunity for us to heal. Yep. The difference between a combat crew versus a non-combat crew is huge. Yeah, their dice are terrible. So they're not going to be able to do much to us. And even if they hit, like, the amount of damage is trivial. Oh, I probably should explain that the orange bar is hit points, which is pretty self-explanatory. The blue bar is a little more interesting. It's morale. If your morale drops below, I think, 50%, there's a chance your character will break in combat, meaning they basically pass their turn. It's really bad. You can't have your characters breaking. So you want to try to make sure morale is topped off as much as possible here. Alright, we won this battle again. We also gained some experience. This is why I love using officers. Those 4 members just gain 132 experience, and they gain another 132 in the previous fight. So you can gain tons of experience by doing these fights over and over again. It's really good way of gaining experience here. And I'm just going to sabotage them some more, because why not? So now they've lost 8 crew members. I actually cannot board anymore because I don't have any talents, but I'll advance on them and I'll fire these missiles. Missiles shouldn't blow them up. They still have 310 hull points. Just want to do a little more damage to them. Every little bit helps. Engine failure. That's another debuff that I think came from us boarding their ship. There's a chance of applying a bonus debuff like that. Can't fire any weapons, but they can't do anything to us either. So now that I'm at range 1, when I try to advance on them, it'll say boarding. So why not? So you can repeatedly board until you killed enough of their crew that they surrender, or you kill their captain. Their captain is not showing up to fight us, though. They have a doctor of their own, but doctors are prone to spamming heals, and I don't care if you spam your heals. This character's morale is so bad, it's not likely to do much to us. So I'm gonna, yep, morale break, that's what I meant. His morale is almost 0, so he couldn't do anything to us past his turn, basically. I'm actually not gonna, oh, I can do the, shoot the doctor. I can do the attack and heal again. You just need to restore your morale. Okay, so I'm actually gonna heal you. I'm going to use an ability called Refocus, which costs 16 initiative, but it restores some hit points and morale. It's like a healing talent. It's really, really bad, though. It costs 16 initiative, and it doesn't restore much. But I'm not worried about them. I'm just going to take the time to heal up my morale a little bit, because I don't think they can do much to us. The healer is going to spam heals, which is great, because that means he's not attacking me. I should be able to heal next. Oh, I actually missed. Not that that matters. Oh, that was rude. Very rude. Yeah, once you get through the first wave, the victories come easier and easier. Now our ferocious crossfire talent is available. Why not? I mean, it doesn't actually, we've already won, so this ability doesn't matter, but if I had sent my soldier first, I could have used this talent and it could have done a lot of damage to them. As you can see, we had 3 options, but I can only pick 2. Yep, killed enough of their crew that they surrendered. Alright, so this time we fought a smuggler. And we did lose 1 reputation with that faction, Alta Mesa. But it's okay, because 1 reputation loss is not too bad. But for persecuting a foreign smuggler in this sector that's owned by Clan Javat, we gained 3 rep with him. That's what I was really hoping for. If you fight the illegal enemies like pirates and smugglers, you can gain rep with the main faction in that quadrant. That's why I did this. Also, the tons of experience that we gain. We can also loot. Now, we're gonna be careful when looting here. If you loot from smugglers, if you try to loot something like the water purifiers that don't require a permit, it's not considered illegal trading, and I'll lose reputation with that faction. But if I loot, say, the advanced medicines, which requires a permit, well, because it requires a permit, it's considered quote-unquote more regulated. Now I can safely loot this, like they're trying to smuggle this good. I'm just looting something that is illegal, which is perfectly legal for me to do. So I've stolen 6 units of those advanced medicines. They didn't cost us anything. And these advanced medicines are worth good money. In fact, can I see our cargo? Yeah, the average is $700 dollars for 1 unit. So just on average, we're gonna make 42,000 credits. If we find a good planet, we can make a lot more than that. So that was a good deal. Now, I'm not gonna take their fuel because this is a smuggler and stealing from them would be a crime. I see no reason to conscript them. I could ransom the crew back to that faction, Alta Mesa, but I don't want to suffer the reputation loss, and they wouldn't pay very much anyway. I could also blow up the ship and salvage them, but they'll absolutely hate us for that, so I'm not going to do any of that. Just the 6 medicines alone is a pretty good deal, but I did this mostly for the reputation and the experience. So yeah, that was a great result. This is why I love patrolling when we have the ability to actually like take the fights, like fight the smuggler, for instance. I could just patrol here and not fight this next smuggler. I don't have any more talents left. I mean, I have 2 defensive talents, but it's too risky. We also, I think, took some damage there, right? Yeah, because I slipped up and I didn't pay attention that one turn. Alright, so that's a good video, a nice introduction to crew battle there. The crew battles can get a lot tougher. We faced a pretty weak comp from the enemy, but generally the humans aren't so bad, but boy, the Xenos are beyond terrifying in crew combat. They would absolutely annihilate us at this point. We don't have the right setup for that. Anyway, this seems like a good place to pause the video. Thank you for watching. Until next time.